Bob, a lot of times we reflect on the previous week, but this is a game that people have circled for a while, so let's get right there. Let's start with Dartmouth's offense and your defense. They have a guy you became very familiar with last year in Jared Gerbino, somebody who has really taken the league by storm, somebody they've used really well this year. Where have you seen his development this season?
Yeah, he's big, he's strong, he's athletic, he finishes his runs. He's tall, and when he falls forward, it's an extra yard and a half. So even when he gets 8, it becomes 10, that way. But where he's really improved, his vision and his short area quickness, which is unusual for a guy as tall as he is, to have that outstanding short area quickness to make cuts. And for a guy who I don't think, has spent a lot of time as a running back in his life, he has outstanding vision and sets blocks up, and he's playing with a poise that you would see in an outstanding running back in this league.
I think there's some similarities to what Dartmouth is doing and to the 2016 Princeton offense, and where Gerbino has gotten a lot of credit, similar to the way Lovett did, but it's not just a one-man offense. He's kind of finished some drives, but you look at the numbers that Kyler's put up at quarterback, and Cooper had a huge game last week against Harvard. They're a really balanced group.
Yeah, all the way through. This is as good an O-line as I've seen in 9 years. 5 seniors. The left tackle is going to play in the NFL. Every single one of them is an all-Ivy League player. They get great blocking out of their tight ends. Those guys do a terrific job catching the ball as well when they do throw it to them. They got speed at receiver, both down the field vertically, and some of the speed sweep type things they do when they want to run the football. And they're completing the ball about 75% of the time, which when I talked to Chad Knopf earlier this week, he said, let's get a few incompletions. I want to have that record for more than a year, but they're throwing the ball efficiently, and they have a number of backs. Cooper's been a big play threat, but he also is terrific getting 4 to 6 yard runs. We looked at every play that they ran that was 8+ yards. That's 1/3 of their plays in our breakdown are 8+ yard gains. That is an unbelievable number, to look at. And how many times it's Gerbino, it's a running back, it is them throwing the ball, it is the quarterback in a read run making a play. They are just an outstanding offense from top to bottom.
Does it put more responsibility on Tom Johnson and Mark Fasati right in the middle of the field to kind of have an ability to read a play early and then get to the spot? And swarm tackling has been a big strength of your team, but it feels like, especially in this game, you can't let anybody get by you.
Well, you have to play your responsibilities, because if not, Cooper's running for 82 yards, right? If you don't play your responsibilities, they're throwing the ball deep. And they're not a team that's going to throw it 75% of the time. But when they do throw it, it's efficient. And when they take their shots, guys are running free because defenders aren't playing their responsibilities. And, you can't give up those 80-yard, 60-yard plays that they're getting week in, week out, in terms of that. But then to try to hold them to the 3 and 4 yard gains, you have to swarm tackle, you have to be physical, which it presents a lot of issues because their offensive line's opening holes as wide as the distance between me and you, that way. These are some of the biggest holes I've ever seen. Flip
to the other side, and Dartmouth may have 2 leading candidates for Ivy League Defensive Player of the Year.
Or 3.
Yeah, you put Trainer in there as well, but up front, Rocco DeLeo, maybe the best pass rusher you'll see all season.
Yeah, this is kind of circa 2012 Princeton. We had Mike Catapano on an edge, and we had Karan Reed, and Jackson Perry plays that role.
Right.
And the other guys are like our other guys. They're all Ivy League candidates up front, but DeLeo has an unbelievable motor. He is making some plays in games that I really have to go back to Catapano, to see a defensive end who can also play inside, having that versatility, that strength, that athleticism. It's very rare.
And then you have a player in TJ Floyd who's putting up some pretty historic numbers, especially in Ivy games. His second multi-interception game last weekend. One guy in the country has more interceptions than him, and he'll be on the other side of the field. Now, those two aren't going to go head-to-head, but you've got big play receivers in Jesper Horsted and Steve Carlson. They're going up against a big play cornerback in Isaiah Swan.
Yeah, and he's also tall. He's a guy that's not going to be a 5'8" or 9" corner where we have a big size matchup. He is a tall, long corner who has unbelievable instincts, hands. He's physical against the run. He's a absolute tremendous player and likely to be an All-American candidate this year.
I mean, they've done similar to what you guys have done. They've made teams drive on them, and they have, if they've given up yards, they've found stops in the red zone, they've created turnovers. It feels like last Saturday that game got away because of all the turnovers in the first half that Cornell committed. This feels like a game where ball security, ball control is at an absolute premium.
Yeah, you see, even in the last 2 games, they came up with huge stops and forced turnovers versus Columbia and Harvard. They attacked the ball. They're incredibly well coached on all 3 sides of the football, but they attacked the ball so well on defense. And Trainer, he was, obviously one of the 3 or 4 best players in the league last year on defense. He's one of the 3 or 4 best players, and the other guys might be on their side when, I'm voting for opponents. They got a group of them. But they got some guys who get after the football and they run to the ball, and they're extremely well coached and disciplined team, but they're physical.
You've talked all season about not letting guys get ahead of themselves, not, respecting every opponent. This week, it almost feels like, how do you make sure that they are not too high on Tuesday, not too high on Wednesday, keeping that level mindset that has worked all season into a game of this importance?
Yeah, I looked up 3 guys, Derek Jeter, Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, and showed their regular season stats and their postseason stats. And what's amazing, like Jordan's postseason stats are better, but he's playing 4 more minutes a game. How eerily similar their statistics are in the regular season and postseason. Why? Because it's habits. It's how they prepare. It's how they practice. They're the same guy every day. In terms of that. And I'm not saying our guys are Michael Jordan. I'm saying the way we prepare has to be the way he prepared or Jeter prepared. That you can't go up, gripping the bat like this and out of the ordinary. You grip the bat the same way. You get in your stance the same way. You see the pitch the same way. You swing the same way and get the barrel on it. And when you do that, you hit 3.8 to 310 and your OPS is the same and everything else.